It's the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion. This is for Wednesday, the 20th of August. I'm Michael Groff. The two main forecast concerns for us over the next several days will be the heat, temperatures above average, maybe flirting with records at times through Friday, and then the chance of showers and thunderstorms. Yes, monsoon moisture is on the increase. Widely scattered storms will be present over the higher terrain, but what about the chances we see them here in the lower deserts? Obviously, with moisture increasing, the chances should be increasing here. But all the usual questions abound as to where, when, how much. We do expect an up-ramping in the number of showers and storms by this weekend and early next week. We'll try to get into the particulars of that. It is a complex forecast. Plus, as has been the case for the last several days, we'll take a look at the tropics. So much to talk about. We'll dive on in just a moment. Hey everyone, it's Michael Groff here to talk to you about your roof. With all the extreme weather we have in Arizona, you need a name you can trust, and that's why you should call Blackstone Roofing Group for all of your roofing needs. Call for your free inspection today. Big or small, they do it all. Tile, shingle, or flat roofing, they can help. Offering free inspections and more. Roofing made easy. Call 602-536-9363 or visit blackstoneroofinggroup.com to schedule your free inspection today. And if you tell them Michael Groff sent you, they'll take $500 off the price of your roof replacement. Again, that's 602-536-9363 or blackstoneroofinggroup.com. All right, we'll start as always with that almanac from yesterday. 108 degrees was the afternoon high. 87 was the morning low, and that's a bit above those averages of 105 and 84. 115, that record high. We weren't close to that yesterday, but we'll be closer to a record today, tomorrow, Friday. Way behind on rainfall. Hopefully we can put a dent in that over the next several days. Outside now here at 10:40 a.m., mostly sunny sky across the valley. 102 degrees at Sky Harbor. The dew point is very slowly beginning to creep up now at 52. Relative humidity, 19%. The winds are light and the barometer is steady. Satellite picture out here across the southwest. And one thing is very apparent. That ridge of high pressure is getting back into optimal monsoon position, setting up near the Four Corners. It's an intense ridge with upper heights about 597 to 598 decameters. And that means it's going to be scorching hot here. But with the ridge right there, that's east-southeasterly flow bringing in more and more of that monsoon moisture across the area. So widely scattered showers and thunderstorms will be popping up later today over the higher terrain and directed toward the deserts. And that ridge isn't really going to move over the next few days. So that monsoon moisture should continue to increase. We see that here on the satellite already. All right, watch warning map for today. Of course, heat still an issue for parts of Texas and Louisiana, some of the adjacent states, as well as up north over the Dakotas. We have an extreme heat warning, of course, for us here in Phoenix, and that's in effect through 8 p.m. on Friday. We also have an air quality alert for ozone pollution. That's in effect for tomorrow. And we actually haven't had too many of those ozone high pollution days. I think that's only the 22nd we've had so far this year, which I believe is the lowest since 1979. That's not bad. Elsewhere, we have the extreme heat warnings for much of southern and western Arizona, southern California, up into Nevada, the Las Vegas Valley. Yes, sizzling hot. And of course, along the East Coast, we have those advisories related to Aaron. Coastal flood warnings and coastal flood advisories there for the Outer Banks of North Carolina, northward. And of course, we've got the tropical storm warnings, again, for eastern North Carolina and for the coastal sections and adjacent waters off of the East Coast. And of course, hurricane warnings further out. Yeah, this system is making a very close pass by to the East Coast. It is not going to make direct landfall, but that doesn't mean we don't have some impacts. Obviously, we talked about this for a while. Mandatory evacuations in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, Dare County, the overwash there. From the big waves being generated by Aaron, we could see waves several feet above average there. And that's going to be true for the entirety of the East Coast, really. Lots of high wave action. The rip current danger is there all along the East Coast. And so this is going to continue to be a problem at least for the next couple of days before conditions start to alleviate. And again, tropical storm warnings for eastern North Carolina, because we will see those outer bands, at least a few of those, making their way to the immediate coastal sections there, North Carolina, Virginia. So gusty winds and some rain also possible with that. Brief tropical storm conditions. All right, the convective outlook for today, the marginal risk of severe storms, level 1 out of 5 from around Midland, Odessa, all the way eastward toward Huntsville, Alabama, as well as up around Miles City and Great Falls, Montana, over toward Williston, North Dakota, that level 1 out of 5 marginal risk for severe storms, some gusty winds to maybe 58, 60 miles an hour possible with the storms there. Now, here in Arizona, we're in the green. We don't anticipate organized severe weather, but any one storm during the monsoon can become severe. Primary threat from storms, gusty winds, blowing dust here in the lower desert, some brief heavy rain up north, and obviously lightning with any storm. We have to be aware of that for that wildfire potential. All right, the tropics in the Atlantic Basin, 3 areas of concern. We've got 2 tropical waves and Hurricane Aaron. We'll start with that tropical wave in the central Atlantic. And now it sure looks like this is going to gain latitude. It does still have a 60% chance of development according to the National Hurricane Center. But if it does, or when it does, it would likely gain latitude, staying much further east of the east coast of the United States than Aaron. Obviously, we still have to watch these systems. We always do, because weather does what weather does sometimes, and this could still be a threat to Bermuda, even taking this at face value. So we'll keep an eye on things. That eastern Atlantic wave, a 40% chance that develops, and it's pretty far down there, about 12 degrees, 13 degrees north latitude, so it's not going to be moving very fast. We have a long time to watch this, if it even develops at all, but hey, we're rapidly approaching the peak of hurricane season, so this is nothing unusual. And of course, then we have to talk about Aaron. This is an upper end Category 2 hurricane still, top winds 110 miles per hour. And it is expected to at least briefly re-intensify to a Category 3 storm as it passes east of the Carolinas and Virginia, the middle Atlantic coast. And some of those outer bands and that outer edge of those tropical storm force winds will briefly encounter the east coast. And again, direct landfall not expected. We're not going to see an eye wall in this massive 20-foot storm surge or anything crazy like that, like you may have seen. But this will still have some impacts, as we have already discussed on these and previous videos. So you have to keep that in mind and heed all of those advisories that are issued for your local area. And of course, the satellite presentation on this system, I mean, still a pretty good looking storm. It really encountered a lot of wind shear yesterday, and that doesn't seem to be quite as much the case today. But and again, some brief re-intensification could occur as this encounters the Gulf Stream, but then much stronger southwesterly flow. This will eventually get caught up in the westerlies as it gets ejected into the North Atlantic and ultimately becomes post-tropical. Closer to home, the precipitation outlook valid through Wednesday morning of next week. Rain amounts in Phoenix, maybe a 1/10 of an inch. We obviously could see more than that for the higher terrain of northern, eastern, the far southern portions of our state as well. And as we always tell you when showing you this graphic, our usual caveat, your amount will vary, because this just represents an average of what you'll see, but any monsoon storm can obviously produce a lot more than what's shown here in short order. So do keep that in mind. So let's figure out what's going on with this rather complex forecast. And to do that, we'll take a look at the models, see what the future just might hold as we get to it here. Here we go, the GFS. This is the 12Z run. This is valid at 5 o'clock this afternoon. The upper look at 500 millibars, about 18,000 feet off the ground. All right, there's Aaron off the east coast of the United States, and there's our old familiar friend, the subtropical ridge that's now sitting right there near the Four Corners. And where have you been all summer? That's where it should have been this entire time. Now, it is a rather intense ridge, upper heights about 597 decameters, and so what that means for us down at the surface for the rest of the day today will become partly cloudy this afternoon with widely scattered showers and thunderstorms over the higher terrain of eastern and southeast Arizona. Those storms will be pushed toward the lower deserts. Now, the ridge is intense, and we've talked about this ad nauseum for the last several days. The problem is it's in a great position, that ridge. We don't have a ton of moisture in our part of the state yet, but it is increasing. And so showers and storms that develop will head our way. High temperatures this afternoon, 107 to 111. Let's take a look at what's going on with our high-resolution models here. This is the HRRR, the high-resolution rapid refresh model. This is the simulated radar product at 6 o'clock this evening. The radar could very well look like this. And at that time, it does show showers and storms making their way toward the lower deserts. Now, this is the problem that we've been talking about, and that is, with such an intense ridge, we do have that warm air aloft. And so these storms are going to start to fall apart as they get on in here. This isn't necessarily a problem just with the urban heat islands so much as it is just the problem of the lower deserts. We just, have such an intense ridge that we don't have the steep lapse rates to hold these storms together. That being said, if we can get some good outflow boundaries from these storms or even colliding outflow boundaries, and when that happens, you get, outflow from one set of storms to maybe the northeast and another set to the southeast, and they collide, and that creates that low-level convergence. That can create new storms that develop. So we can't rule out at least some isolated storms in here this evening. And so we put a 10% chance of rain into the forecast for tonight. Looking at the moisture profiles off the HRRR, again, precipitable water values are coming up much higher than they have been in recent days. These are about baseline monsoon levels, 1.3 to 1.4 inches. So again, the moisture is somewhat there. We'd like to see a little bit more, but still, that's sufficient for some rain. It's just going to be, the trick is having those storms survive or maybe generating new storms here in the lower deserts. And I just don't know if today is the best day for that, but we'll keep an eye on it. If we see storms tonight, most likely they would be in here between about 6 to 10 p.m. Of course, we can always see storms at other hours, but that's the best window and the most likely area that you would see them, the North and East Valley. All right, let's go to tomorrow. We'll start the day out with lows in the 80s to near 90 degrees. And then for the rest of the day, partly sunny, widely scattered afternoon and evening showers and storms over the higher terrain, push toward the lower deserts. Kind of a rinse-repeat forecast of today. High temperatures, 108 to 112 degrees. Friday, it's the same story. That ridge isn't moving much. It's still right there near the Four Corners. The upper heights are still pretty close to, maybe they're down a decimeter or so, 596, 597, somewhere in there. So we're still hot. Highs 108 to 113, widely scattered storms over the higher terrain. A slightly better chance, I think, that we see those storms get in here, though, because each day that ridge continues to sit right there. We slowly increase the amount of moisture across the state. So with that being said, I think Friday is more of a 30% chance of storms as opposed to a 10 or 20%. And we'll have to monitor this. Of course, subtle features, discrete little features in the atmosphere and the mesoscale features from day to day can change. What you're looking at here is a synoptic or broader view. So, the monsoon does what the monsoon does, right? That's just how things are from day to day, but that's how it looks right now. As we head into the weekend, the forecast turns a bit more interesting. The ridge is going to drift a little further to the west. It's going to take a position maybe just north of us across Utah. And the flow is easterly, southeasterly. We continue with showers and thunderstorms, scattered showers and storms. And I'd say they're actually more than likely to be most numerous across the northern and northwest part of the state. The monsoon moisture axis may shift a little further west. So we could even see some storms out over the western deserts or up into the Mojave Desert. And that would be great news for them. And for us too, because storms will still be directed toward the lower deserts and the ridge is going to weaken very, very slowly. And when that happens, the thermal profiles are a little better for storms to get in here too, because we will see very slightly cooler air aloft and slightly steeper lapse rates. And that little bit, that subtle difference in the ridge from 597 down to 594 decimeters can make the difference in general instability here over the southern deserts. So we're hoping for better chances of storms this weekend, probably in about that 30% bracket. Same story on Sunday, and temperatures come down a couple of degrees. We'll still probably be pretty close to 110 each day over the weekend. So it's not like we're drastically cooling off just yet, but let's keep it going. This is Monday. And now the ridge is going to start to shift back to the east-southeast, taking a position maybe back over toward New Mexico and ultimately toward West Texas. And there's a possibility of a disturbance or two rotating in around that. We're not so sure about that just yet, but still deep monsoon moisture is around. So scattered to numerous showers and thunderstorms over the higher terrain, scattered showers and storms, mainly in the afternoon and evening hours here in the lower deserts. High temperatures coming down, maybe around 103 to 107 for Monday. Tuesday could see highs only in the mid 90s to about 102 degrees here in the lower deserts. It is very possible some spots don't even make 100 on Tuesday with more moisture around, scattered to numerous afternoon and evening showers and storms. We're going to bump that rain chance up just a little bit more Monday and Tuesday. Now, of course, it's the usual story. If Monday turns out to be a more active day, Tuesday may be less so. But, we'll just take that as it comes. But for now, it does look like a pretty dramatic increase in monsoon moisture is going to take place this weekend and especially early next week. And there's an added bonus here. We could see some Pacific energy from a trough, or at least a piece of energy, get broken off from a much larger low out over the Northeast Pacific and kind of coming in from the west. And that could serve to enhance storm activity as well. A week from today, this is Wednesday the 27th. Now the ridge is sitting over the Big Bend of Texas. And we are under more of a southerly flow and maybe gradually starting to turn southwesterly as we see troughing to the west of us. But initially, just like we saw last week, this could actually act on moisture that's around right now and create sort of a transitional type event for numerous showers and thunderstorms. I mean, if we take this at face value, that could actually be a decent threat for maybe even some organized, stronger storms. But this is a week out. There's no way we could possibly pin that down right now. It's just an idea that's on the table. And also, the ridge, let me show you again, this is the synoptic view, is weakened. It's now down to about a 591 ridge, upper heights here in southern Arizona, probably around 588 to 590 decameters. So temperatures are down and moisture levels are high. And with more clouds and rain chances, temperatures again will struggle to make the triple digits. So that's very interesting. Keep it going though, and the news turns, well, less favorable for storms around here, that's for sure. This is Thursday the 28th. And we've got this kind of high latitude blocking pattern. There's a big ridge up across Western Canada, an upper trough, an upper low that's out there over the Northeast Pacific, and a piece of energy kind of sliding in underneath that broader ridge and nudging a much weaker ridge over Texas eastward. And so we see kind of more of a westerly flow developing here, and that would serve to really cut off our chances of storms. And the thing is, though, this is kind of like mid-September kind of weather, because drier air with lower heights means temperatures remain lower and drier air. So those overnight lows are going to come down. Highs will probably just struggle to make 100, maybe about 100 to 103 degrees here. Same thing as we go out toward Friday the 29th. I mean, no real sign of monsoon moisture coming back in here. It may not be far away. I mean, the models are kind of consistent on the advertisement of a drier air mass pushing in, although they differ on the exact placement of these features, and that's going to obviously make a big difference in how things play out way out there toward next week. But I guarantee you things will change between now and then, so just stay tuned. Looking at rainfall for Phoenix off the GFS Ensemble. This goes out through the 2nd of September. And look at that. I mean, Ensemble mean over a half an inch, about 0.6, 2/3 of an inch. European, more or less the same story. European AI model Ensemble, closer to 0.8 of an inch. So models are all in pretty good agreement that rain chances come up at least for a window of time late this week, this weekend, and at least the first half of next week. What happens after that is still something of a question mark. All right, looking at temperatures off the national blend of models, we stay hot today, tomorrow, Friday, even into the weekend, although temperatures start the trend downward. And the next week, highs could slide at least a couple, if not a few degrees below average. And at least for a time, that could be accompanied by unsettled weather and then ultimately starting to dry out. We're looking at the CPC outlook, the Climate Prediction Center outlook, the 8 to 14 day period, August the 27th through the 2nd of September. If this is right, temperatures for a good portion of the eastern half of the country going below average, with near average temperatures for us here in Arizona. Precipitation would be skewed toward above average, the probability above average precipitation for us here in Phoenix and across all of Arizona. That's great news, and really across most of the West, where we really do need that precipitation. So again, we'll take that if that does occur. And that is going to do it for the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion for today. My next video is due back here tomorrow morning. And should you happen to enjoy these videos, be sure to subscribe, like, share, click that notification bell, leave those comments, questions, and suggestions. If you're really enjoying what we do here, you want to support the channel like Cast to Catch did yesterday and donated to us via the super thanks, then do that. Yes, you can click that thanks icon below the video here on YouTube and donate to us that way, or via PayPal. groffshow@gmail.com is our PayPal address, groffshow@gmail.com for PayPal, or via Venmo. That too. All of those methods are linked up in the description. The executive producer of the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion is my OAO, the sweetest of all time, the Asian sensation and proprietor of sweetchildaz.com.org and the Facebook page of the same name, Sweet Child Arizona, talking about my Michelle. Check her out. Blogs, videos, everything Michelle related, likely Adriana related. It is all linked up down in the description, so give that a look. Our streaming station available 24/7, 365. It's called KMGX. We play a ton of music and have a lot of fun over there, so give that a listen as well. Check out Dan over at the Courtroom Files YouTube channel. He helps us. We help him. He's a good friend of ours, so do support his efforts at the Courtroom Files on YouTube or courtroomfiles.com for your Courtroom Files merch. Thank you guys so much for watching. All of your continued support. It is so greatly appreciated. Please be safe, stay cool, stay hydrated out there, and you guys have yourselves a delightful, terrific, and exquisite rest of your Wednesday.